Welcome to Henrietta Township, and we have Firelands and Columbia already on the floor getting ready. We're going to probably get an early tip-off to this game that's scheduled for 7 o'clock, but the JV game ended up with a running clock as Firelands ran away with that one. So moving things along, the powers that be here at Firelands said, hey, let's get going. The kids are antsy and ready to go. And we have for you the Stewart's TV and Appliance Game of the Week here. It's our final YouTube broadcast of 2023 already. That kind of puts it in perspective, but happy to have you along watching us tonight. I'm John Guzik. Max Drummond will be joining me with color commentary. Edwin Vereen making all the switches and production things go well here on site, and Michael Allison on the camera bringing you the video on our YouTube broadcast tonight. This is the Lorain County Sports Network, part of the WOBL WDLW Sports Department, and happy to be a part of Lorain County Sports from year one now until infinity and beyond. Can I say that? It's, Bud Leslie or Christmas present. We'll make some Christmas references, but first, let's talk to the coaches as they tell us how they're preparing for tonight's game. And our Coach's Corner is brought to you by Jay Valadez, a certified AAU coach. Train with the best, Jay Valadez. And first, Max takes a few minutes to talk to Columbia head coach Josh Scharf.
Welcome into the Great Lakes Coach's Corner. Right now I'm with Josh Scharf, coach of the Columbia Raiders. Coach, thank you for joining me.
Appreciate you guys coming out.
Most definitely. So I wanted to just get started by asking you, with multiple games in now and some of them in conference, has the rotation and the minutes distribution become more clear, or are you still looking to figure a few things out?
No, we're still kind of tweaking that. I mean, we're really young. You look at our roster, out of our 8-man rotation, 2 guys have varsity experience. You got 4 freshmen, a sophomore, and then a junior that hasn't played. So those 6 really don't have a whole lot of varsity experience before this year. So they're still getting their legs under them. We're still trying to figure out the minutes rotation, and just a lot of it's a feel, like who's got the hot hand tonight and who's playing harder than their teammates. So we're working through it, but we're getting closer.
Definitely, and you speak a little bit about that inexperience. You guys are going to be in the middle of a 5-game road stretch right now. What is your message throughout that and getting them up for each game?
I think the younger guys were better off on the road. There's no pressure playing in front of your home crowd, your student body. So I think being on the road early with this group is really beneficial to us. Friday night we had our eyes open a little bit with the pace of play at the varsity level at Brookside. So I think we're going to learn from that, and hopefully tonight we come out with a little better effort.
And speaking of tonight's game against Firelands, their transition offense has been a strength so far this season. When you guys go about defending that, is it more stressing offensive rebounds or getting back in defense, or how do you see that?
No, I mean, Brookside did it to us too. They get out in transition, they try to really push the pace. So we really focus on getting 1 or 2 floor balance, matching up in transition. It's not about finding your guy in transition especially. Just get the closest guy to you and work, and then when we get set up, we're not scrambling anymore, then we can switch back to normal matchups. But it's really just finding the guy in transition and just playing defense that way.
Okay, definitely. And lastly, I wanted to talk about your offensive game plan. Obviously, it runs through Nate Borling. Obviously, he does a lot of bringing the ball up and the ball handling. Is there any other ways you hope to see him involved or try to get him involved?
Right. We're actually trying to get him off the ball a little bit more, bring one of them younger guys up to start running the point and have him play off the ball on the wing to tag more so he's not putting so much pressure on himself, wearing his legs out, just trying to beat the pressure. So, I mean, we run a lot of actions, a lot of screening, and a lot of just hard cuts to try to open up things, slip screens. Just when they overplay Nate, we'll slip it, get layups, but we just have to run our stuff. I mean, that's our game plan tonight, just run our stuff, cut hard, and set solid screens, make sure you're making contact, force them to switch or jump it, and then we'll get good looks.
All right. Well, thank you so much for this insight, and best of luck tonight.
Appreciate it.
Welcome into the Great Lakes Coach's Corner. Right now I'm with Josh Sharf, coach of the Columbia Raiders.
Wow, almost Christmas, and it seems like the season just started a couple weeks ago. It did. We're going to get a real synopsis of that season so far with Firelands head coach Colin Myers. Coach, what is the synopsis of your season so far?
We've been up and down. We've gone through some battles, played some tough games. There's a lot of tough teams, and we're learning quick that we got to show up every night, with our schedule if we want to come away with the win. And, kids have been practicing hard. They're starting to realize that, and hopefully have a good one tonight.
Let's talk about some of the ups you've had and some of the moments and players that have been part of those ups so far this year.
Yeah, when we're playing together as a team, playing as hard as we can, we're a tough out for anybody. But as we saw against Wellington, they played a great game. They were physical. They took it to us, and we struggled against them, and they came out with a big win against us. But with our seniors, Nico, he's been giving us a ton offensively. He's had some big games. Chris Radman really stepping up. Nate Draga, Jimmy Onspall. We have a lot of talent, and a lot of seniors on this team and leadership, so it's been huge for us.
And it seems like that's the kind of the key to this team last year. Last year, you guys came in that underdog role and really came on as the season went along. This year, you guys started as, hey, those are the veterans back ready to fight, but you still came a long way from game 1 to game 23 last year. What's the progress you're looking for tonight?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I actually talked to the team about that, how last year, it took us a while to get rolling, but we could always hang our hat on, our effort and being more physical than the other team. So that's what we're trying to get back to, and hopefully we do tonight.
And what about tonight? You going against one of the top scorers, obviously, in the county, and Nate Borling, but the rest of the team has showed up for Columbia, as shown by their record.
Yeah, Borling, he's tough for, any team to guard. He's got a ton of talent, works extremely hard. He's one of those players that he's going to get his points one way or another. But how we defend and how we defend the rest of the team is going to be huge tonight. And Coach Sharp does a great job over there with them. Always puts them in a position to win. So we got to be focused the entire game and be ready to play.
And how do you balance kind of like that, getting more physical without getting yourself into foul trouble?
Yeah, it's difficult. But what I really preach to them, we got to win the rebounding battle. We got to have everybody crashing the boards hard. If we can come away, with a lot more rebounds than them, right there, that sets the tone early. It makes the other team back up and to kind of think about what they're going to do if we're pushing them around early.
Well, we're looking for a good battle tonight, maybe even highlight with another Nico Gotsis slam dunk like we had on our OBL game earlier this month, and a lot of fun coming up, so stick around. Firelands takes on Columbia in this Lorain County League matchup in just a few minutes here, so stick around on the Lorain County Sports Network. As always, thanks to the coaches for taking some time out of their, I think, they're not really busy during the pregame, but they're nervous, right? So maybe they welcome an opportunity to talk about it a little bit, get rid of some nervous energy. I'm John Guzik, Max Drummond along with us on this YouTube broadcast tonight from Firelands High School. Still really the brand new Firelands High School. If you haven't been out here in the last couple of seasons, this is a beautiful new facility. Great floor, easy to run on, but by far the brightest floor, I think, brightest gym in high school in Lorain County. At least they definitely took care of that with all the new technology that went into being here. And I want to give thanks now, and I'm sure we'll mention again later, but Firelands Athletic Director Ty Stillman just been wonderful in getting everything ready for us here tonight, giving us both the space we needed, because I think sometimes where we go here at Firelands, we may be alienating a few fans, because when I was here on Saturday for the girls' game, I noticed there was a few parents that, hey, midcourt, top row, that's where I want to sit. And we come here tonight, and Ty's got it already roped off like a bank line or something to make sure we have our space. So we appreciate that. And not only that, but he's out there sweeping the floor between the JV and varsity games to make sure kids have a clean and easy game tonight. So we'll get ready to get you set for a tip-off coming up in just a few minutes. It's Firelands versus Columbia. Both teams 2-1 in Lorain County League early in the season. But both teams really coming into tonight looking to kind of find themselves. You know, Firelands ended the year so strongly last year that expectations were big coming out of the gate. For Columbia, again, strong expectations and started the season well, but then certainly losing to Brookside on Friday, not any type of black mark on your team or your record, but the fact that they did it with a deficit of 18 points is something that I know Columbia is looking at to say, hey, what did happen here? What do we need to correct that? So as we get ready for tonight's game, I bring in my partner, Max Drummond, to talk about the keys to tonight's game. And the keys are brought to you by Buckeye Community Bank. Today and tomorrow, your partner for growth. Max, what's your analysis for this evening?
Well, you mentioned last week's game against Brookside for Columbia, and so I'll start there. They simply ran out of gas at the end. It was a pretty competitive game most of the way until it started to get away from them in the fourth quarter. So finding certain players in the rotation that they're comfortable, they can space out the minutes. You know, Coach Sharp talked a bit about that in our coach's corner. And I think it's just finding that flow, finding who is going to be able to finish the game strong, and, you know, so setting a good pace. And the offense, of course, runs through Nathan Borling, but they want to see him get it in other ways rather than just bringing it up. They want to see him moving around off screens, and moving without the ball. Such a, I think, underrated skill, especially at this high school level. And then over to Firelands, their transition. They have to be able to move it quickly and set the tempo for this game, whether it's outlet passes, whether it's once you get tipping rebounds out, which can be a little risky, but I think it's something they might want to try to do. And then limiting turnovers is going to be key for them. A couple week and a half or so ago, they played Clearview. They won that game 52-49. They turned the ball over 20 times, though. There was no need for it to be that close. So if they can limit turnovers, we know they can score the ball.
And then we just had Columbia on our YouTube broadcast a week ago with their win over Wellington. We had Firelands open the season on WOBL radio. And unfortunately, in that game, the Firelands Falcons really didn't open the season until the third quarter, and by that time, it was too much of a deficit. But to their credit, Fairview has shown in that game since that they are a team to be reckoned with on the west side of Cleveland this year in that division. So, again, Firelands, nothing really to hang their heads about, but certainly, and as Coach Myers said in the coach's corner, they want to get a little more physical and win the rebounding battle. On Columbia's side, the hard part is, if you're running out of gas at the end, can you get another pair of legs out there that help you get there? And that's hard to do. But right now we're going to pause for our national anthem. Cool how they have that large flag that comes down from the ceiling here at the Firelands, and nice to see both the Firelands and Columbia cheerleaders interspersed among each other, circled up underneath the flag, and a show of sportsmanship as we get this conference game ready to go. A key conference game for being so early in the season. Good news for both teams is that they really don't have to worry about the injury bugs so far this year. Our injury and active report is always monitored and supported by Illyria Jewelry and Repair. Illyria Jewelry and Repair, treating customers like family. And, of course, that's got to be a busy place this week before Christmas, right? And you're doing that. By the way, I do want to pass on our thanks to another one of our sponsors, Rich Resendez, who brings you our national anthem each game. Rich Resendez for Lorain County Sheriff in 2024. So that brings us to tonight's starting lineups, and we'll get into that as they get them introduced on the floor. We'll let you know, first of all, starting with the Columbia Raiders, and our starting lineups are brought to you by Smitty's Place. Smitty's Place, where friends meet, and some of the friends that'll be starting for the Raiders today. They'll start with 6'1" senior guard Ethan Meyer, and he is averaging 9 points a game on the season. Did not get that kind of average last week in the game against Wellington, so we know he's certainly someone capable of stepping up offensively for the Raiders tonight. He's averaging 6.8 rebounds a game. Number 2 out there for the Raiders will be a 5'9" sophomore, Carter Dooley. He's averaging 4.5 points and also getting to the board, 6.8 rebounds a game. He also has 8 steals on the year so far. Gage Maruna is number 3. He's a 6'1" junior forward, averaging a little over 3 points and 6 rebounds a game. Also has 4 block shots on the season, which we saw a couple of those last week against Wellington. Logan Mengi is also starting for the Columbia Raiders, just a freshman. He's a guard, 5'8", 6 points per game, and of course the star of the offense for the Columbia Raiders is going to be number 10 out there. You're going to see him a lot. Nathan Borling's a 6'2" senior guard. He's averaging 23.3 points a game and 6.8 rebounds, and he leads the team with 11 steals on the season. So look for 10 in the dark black Columbia Raiders jerseys tonight. For the Firelands Falcons, they're going to go with a very senior-laden lineup. Christopher Radman's number 2. He's a 6'2" senior guard, averaging 10.4 points a game. He'll be joined in the backcourt by Max Stinson. He'll be wearing number 23, a 5'10" junior. Also starting for Firelands Falcons will be number 5, Nico Gatsis. He's another one of those senior leaders. 6'4" guy. Had a nice dunk against Fairview in our contest earlier this year on WOBL. He's averaging 14.4 points per game to lead the Falcons. Also starting in down on the blocks, number 32, Jim Onspaw is a 6'3" senior forward, grabbing 8 rebounds a game. And 33 is Nate Draga, a 6'2" senior forward, averaging over 12 points a game. And that's Nico Gatsis winning the tip for the Firelands Falcons to get this game underway, and we're ready to roll on the Lorain County Sports Network. Happy to have you along. Chris Radman taking a deep 3 and nailing it to get the scoring off and rolling early for the Firelands Falcons just 15 seconds into this game.
And that's Nathan Borling range right there, showing it himself as Radman.
Mengi brings it into the floor court, getting pressure right away as soon as he gets across the line. Down in the bottom to Carter Dooley, drives the baseline, trying to feed it back to Mengi. Of course, you're seeing Borling getting wrapped up by the Firelands defense, and we talked about turnovers that Firelands had trouble with against Clearview. There's the first turnover of the game, and it's Clearview taking an extra step. And we're seeing right off the bat, there's a little extra defensive strategy against Borling by the Falcons. Radman on the left wing, passes it back out front to Stinson. Stinson to Gotsis, back to Stinson. Dribbling into the key, back away from the top of the arc, and the feed inside gets to Onspaw, who drops it down to Radman, but a little too far in, misses that one, and quickly Columbia back the other way. Still 3-0 Firelands a minute into this game.
Yeah, Carter Dooley, a very physical play on defense, and now we're seeing it in return from Firelands.
Lots of pressure, and that lets loose for Carter Dooley to get a layup and an easy one, and now missed that, get it back. I was already writing that one down with the layup, but Ethan Meyer is going to get the credit for the first 2 points of this game.
It is. Great offensive board there.
Gotts is trying to make some space along the baseline. No travel, no charge. Play on, and this is Borling finally getting his first touch of the ball. A minute and a half in, they didn't even let Borling touch the ball, so that's something that Firelands defense gets a good early start on. This time it's a deep 3 from Borling. He's trying to match Radman's shot. That one's no good. Tracked down in the corner by Meyer. Goes out of bounds, though, and it's going to be a Firelands basketball, so team rebound for the Falcons. Still 3-2 Firelands, 6:14 to go here. First quarter action from Firelands High School.
Oh, wow, pushing the pace there.
Got contact, and defender goes down. No foul on that one. Gotts is fighting for it, gets it back up, no good. This is Onspaw putting it back up and around the rim and in. So he has his first 2. Jimmy Onspaw on the board, and it's 5-2 Firelands.
Yeah, great job there, not giving up. And I mean, I think Columbia might have been caught off guard to begin that defensive possession. Almost a charge.
For Columbia, Mengi bring it into the floor court for each of the possessions, which is different than what we saw last week against Wellington. They were relying a lot on Borling, and Borling coming out on the fast break. Working it around that Firelands defense. Everything's been outside the arc so far. That's Borling getting it over to Meyer. Takes a step in, a little 12-foot jumper, no good. Rebound by Dooley. Tries to take it back out. That one goes out of bounds, and another turnover for Columbia. Neither team shooting very well so far, but some of that's got to be the credit of the defense they're facing.
Yeah, I was going to say, there is a lot of off-ball movement happening for both offenses, and they're making the right passes. It's just finishing off these possessions with points. They're not doing it at the moment.
Consis out top to Radman. Radman step back, look like he take a jumper. That's the thing, extra step. Took a step back to take a jumper, but then took another step in to try to get the shot off, and that was moving his pivot foot and a turnover for Firelands.
Now right there, you can see they're already going at Logan Mengi a bit, trying to test him, and I believe it's his first start of the season for Columbia, so going ahead at him early and often.
This is Meyer on the right side, guarded by Draga. Looking for a 5-second count, might get it here and does, and that's Mark Novak, the referee, counting that one out. And I got to give Mark a hard time. I'm going to have to say I'm surprised he can still count to 5. His CPA background, his accounting background helps him out here in his retired years. There's a pass down on the block, and it's Onspaw grabbing a great pass from across the lane. Gets his second field goal of the quarter. 7-2 now in favor of Firelands. And Columbia, remember, had trouble getting their offense really going last week. And against Wellington, Nate Borling scored the first 19 points for the Raiders. And once they did get going, they ended up getting double-digit leads in the second half. Here's Borling getting down below, and he's going to get blocked by Onspaw, who's going to get his first foul of the game for either team.
Yeah, we're almost halfway through this first quarter, and you don't want to rely on Borling too much, but before this game gets out of hand or out of reach, you definitely need to make him a focus here on offense.
Here's Meyer looking to inbound, tosses it deep. Not exactly who intended it for, but Mengi is able to track it down and set the offense for Columbia. Again, he's getting a lot of pressure from Stinson. Back to Mengi, top of the key. This is Borling. Radman all in his hip pocket, and now he's got 3 white jerseys coming to him. It gets it away in the corner to Maruna. Maruna, top of the key. Meyer does a ball fake, drives the lane, and dishes it to Mengi, who finishes, gets his first 2 points of the game. 7-4 now, Firelands. 3:52 to go, first quarter.
And when they do try to push that pressure on Borling, that's exactly what the rest of his teammates need to do. Get open around him.
Great fake by Onspaw coming down, but Nate Borling playing defense in the middle of the lane, and he's going to take it coast to coast, and he does get himself on the board. His first 2 points of the game makes it 7-6 Firelands, and Firelands coach Colin Myers says we'll take a quick break here, so we will too, and we'll be right back after this on the Lorain County Sports Network. Back here on the Lorain County Sports Network, you can see we're opposite the table side, but the nice thing is the way they have the court set up is the home fans being on this side, so we get the big Firelands, whatever, Falcon F/whatever it is, the big logo, court-wide logo, staring us in the face instead of looking at remember at Midview, we're upside down and thinking it's a W the whole game. Right. But anyway, here we go. We're back to the action, 3:29 to go first quarter. Firelands with the ball, Onspaw dumps it down. Low to Draga, and Radman is going to try another 3. That one's no good. Rebound, Firelands as Onspaw fights it back up, no good. Stinson there to clean it up. And Max Stinson gets his first 2 points of the game. It's now 9-6 Firelands. Columbia brings it quickly back into the front court. That's Logan Mengi, just a freshman, working against Stinson. Gets it off on the right side to Dooley. Dooley, just a sophomore, right?
That's
one
right.
of the young guys for Columbia, but now they get it to senior Borling, who sits across to Dylan Fisher, who's now in the game. He had a great finish last week. This is Ethan Meyer's first 3-point attempt of the game. No good. Rebound comes down to Onspaw and gets it quickly down out to Stinson, who drives the length of the court and drops it in. Back-to-back baskets by Stinson gives him 4 on the night, and 11-6 lead for Firelands. We're at 2:37 in this first quarter.
And they did a good job taking Columbia's punch there. got the timeout to calm down a bit and right back to that aggressive defense. Man.
Driving is Dooley. Looked like he might have taken a step before he dribbled, but no call, and the rebound comes off to Firelands, and now Stinson back into the front court, trying to push things. Gets caught up by the defense, looking for help. Gets it to Nico Gotsis, driving the lane, laying it up. Just short of the rim, no good. He gets his own rebound, puts it back up. That one's short as well. Gets a third rebound, and that one is going in. Doesn't help his shooting percentage, but the reboundings are awesome. And Josh Shar for Columbia says, what are we doing, guys? It can take a 30. We'll take another quick 30 here as it's now 13-6 Firelands on the Lorain County Sports Network. If you're just joining us and wondering why there's already only 2:02 to go in the first quarter, we did get a little early start today because of the JV game going so quickly. So I have to make up and make sure we remind you that our opening tip-off brought to you by Lorain County Community College. Your year, your classes, your future. Happy to have them along as well. A little trouble with the Columbia offense, but Ethan Meyer's there to clean it up. And Ethan Meyer has 4 points, now 13-8 with 1:45 to go in this first quarter. Nico Gotsis driving the left lane. Lifts it up from the sideline and drops it in, and quickly he has 4 points for himself as well.
Yeah, that's too easy for him, especially when he's matched up on anybody not named Nathan Borling or Ethan Meyer. He's got the size advantage, and he's showing it right now down low.
This is Borling, gets double-teamed immediately, and that one's going to be a foul. I think it's going to be on Gotsis from behind. And it is, so that's going to be Nico's first foul of the game, second team foul for Firelands, and only the second foul of this game so far. So Ethan Meyer will in the new inbound spot, and that's close to it. A little trouble with footwork there, but no foul. So apparently just maybe stumbled grabbing it totally on the other side. And Mark Novak, the official, right in front of it, says we're going to play on with Firelands ball. Ends up being another turnover by Columbia. 1:20 to go first quarter.
And that's Dylan Fisher. Don't want to see anybody.
Stinson for three, no good.
Go down.
Rebound is by Onspall, but he gets double teamed and the ball gets loose and then knocked out of bounds, last touched by Gotsis. So Columbia is going to get this one. That's it. I guess we have to call that one a turnover. I'm thinking statistically here because Onspall had come down with the rebound and had possessed it. So turnovers are adding up for both teams here early on. Borling driving and getting two defenders on him. This is Jack Washburn. He's only played in his second game of the year, getting action early. Mengi tries a jumper in the lane, no good. Cleaned up by Onspall, and Firelands right back the other way. Stinson down to Gotsis, looking into the lane. Onspall back out to Stinson, trying a three, and he drops it.
Yeah, not much you can do there. Great closeout, hand in the face by Borling, but just a great attempt there by Drake. A lot of confidence to shoot that one.
7 points for Stinson and a 10-point lead for Firelands in the final 30 seconds. And Borling getting double teamed, gets bumped that time by Trace Karolak, who's now in the game. And that's going to get Trace his first foul. And we're down to 20 seconds left in the first quarter. You're not really worried about team fouls with the new rule this year. It is the third one of the quarter, which will reset at the end of the quarter, and we'll see if Columbia chooses to play for the final shot as we've got 16 seconds to go in this first quarter. Driving the lane and lifting it up, and they gave it to him, so he took it. Dylan Fisher says, I'll get on the board here early, as he scored all the points late in the game last year. And Fisher just goes down, and he's hurt in the lane. Unfortunately, 2 seconds ago, this one's going to end with no shot, and Dylan Fisher on the floor. He basically kind of tripped just getting past the foul line. It looked like a non-contact injury. We'll find out what it is, and we'll take a break here and come back and get the second quarter underway one way or another. Right now, at the end of one, it's the Firelands Falcons 18, Columbia Raiders 10, here on the Lorain County Sports Network. Worth noting as we come back to the action here on the Lorain County Sports Network, at one point this game was 7-6 in favor of Firelands. So since that point where Firelands, as you mentioned, Max, did call a timeout, it's worked out well for Coach Colin Myers as they've outscored him 11-4 to take this 8-point lead to start the second quarter. And Dylan Fisher got himself off the court here, but certainly something wrong there, and he had a great finish to the game. Was really arguably the difference offensively in the game late because he was making free throws and putbacks that put away Wellington last week. So he's a big loss for Columbia here as they try to get some offense going. This is Meyer at the top of the key. Again, great, very aggressive defense by Firelands.
A little confusion there. Couldn't tell if Washburn or Meyer was the intended target.
And we've seen that a couple of times so far as Radman intercepts the pass coming down the lane and turns it into a fast break opportunity for Firelands. Columbia, a great job of getting back on defense. That's Draga. Looked toward the three, drove down, tosses it back to Karolak. No good. Rebound comes down. Jack Washburn, again, getting some minutes here early on for Columbia and did in the last game as well. That's Carter Dooley taking a shot from the deep corner, no good. And Chris Radman comes away on the run with the rebound and takes the length of the court. He has 5 points, and Firelands is back to a 10-point lead in this first minute of the second quarter.
Seeing right there, transition points, they capitalized them, and they have a lot of length and speed to do so.
And Firelands' defense has definitely taken Columbia out of any type of offensive rhythm, which was really started and ended with Nathan Borling there, and he slips and falls down, but they maintains possession. That's good heads-up play by Borling to keep the possession. Shot no good by Columbia, and it's Radman back the other way, but this is a turnover for Firelands as Ethan Meyer picks off that bounce pass and brings it into the front court against Radman's defense. Now Borling getting the ball against Karolak. He's driving the lane, decides to take it up himself. No good. Rebound comes down to Draga, and Firelands back at it, trying to build on this 10-point lead. Quick pass down below to Onspaw, blocked by Meyer. Onspaw gets it on the floor, tries to get rid of it, and another turnover. Steal for Columbia as Washburn comes the other way, stops, takes a shot, no good. Rebound comes out to Stinson. We're seeing a couple of guys slip here. I mentioned it, good job of sweeping the floor before the game, and it is a brand new floor, but it's obviously a little slippery out there. We've seen at least 3 people lose their footing, and I'm not sure what happened to Dylan Fisher at the end of that first quarter either. Keep an eye on him and see what we can find out for you. Radman dishes it off on the left side. It's a 3-point shot coming out to kind of Nate Draga, and he drops it for his first completed field goal of the first half, and it's now a 13-point lead. Biggest lead of the game for the Falcons.
Yeah, I mean, if they have that many guys threatening from the three-point line,
Here comes Draga with the steal, going the other way. Meyer from behind. Got most of the ball, but he did clip his wrist trying to go up, so we're going to send Draga to the free throw line for the first free throws of the game. And our free throw line brought to you by Rerock Law, LLC. Call attorney Chris Rerock for a free consultation. That's a good one. Free throw line, free consultation. Good tie in there, guys. Like that.
Yeah, and you mentioned in the first quarter, the game going by a little quickly. First foul shots coming in the second quarter also have a bit to do with that. So we'll see if there's any more attempt at that to slow down the game for Columbia here, or if Firelands continues to press the attack like that.
Well, we've got a 13 coming on that I don't have in here. That's Ambrose Beach, a 5'10 freshman, who apparently has been added to the roster here. And Ambrose going to get some time, I'm thinking, because of the injury to Fisher, but also because of what you said in the pregame, Max, is that they kind of ran out of gas in the game against Brookside, so you're trying to get some extra feet on the floor for Columbia so it doesn't happen today. Max Stinson taking advantage of the offensive rebound off of the missed free throw to convert it into points. He has 9, and this, again, now the biggest lead of the game. Firelands having a chance to probably put away from Columbia with a 16-point lead, 5:02 to go first half. And another turnover by Columbia to try to track it down. And clearly, I mean, Borling's not on the court right now. He's going to come back into the game at this moment. They gave him a break because clearly the Firelands strategy on defense has disrupted the Columbia offensive strategy, which is to put the ball in Nate Borling's hands. If anything, you said before the game, Max, the idea was maybe get Borling even more touches, and Firelands is giving him probably, I'm sure, his least touches of the year so far.
That's right. It has to be up there. Right there.
Stinson, great fake pass, and just drives by himself down the left side. Stinson, the offensive star of this first half for sure. He's got 11, and Firelands is up by 18 with 4:42 to go first half.
Yeah, now we'll see how much they try to press, and we'll see Borland going for it right here.
Borland tries a three-pointer. It's short. Rebound comes down to his teammate Carter Dooley, but he loses it underneath to Nico Gotsis. Gotsis quickly out on the wing to David Lynn, who's in the game now for Firelands. He passes it back to Radman, but it's picked off by Borling, who gets it quickly down the other way, and layup is good by Carter Dooley. He has his first two of the game. 28-12, 4:10 to go first half.
Great heads-up pass that time by Borling, almost a full quarter.
Here's Radman working down the side, pullback jumper from about 18, and he drops it. Radman has 7 now, including 4 in this second quarter. Still an 18-point lead again for the Falcons. Borling getting the ball, but getting lots of pressure. Dumps it off on the right side to Meyer. Does it over, wings it around to Mengi on the baseline. Jumper's good. Logan Mengi has 4.
And that's just a great find. You know, keeping the ball moving, especially during those double teams, is going to be the key to try to get a few more looks here and there for everybody else besides Borling.
This is Stinson driving past the foul line, dumps it out on the right side. Shot is missed by Lynn, rebounded by his counterpart, number 1, Ethan Meyer. Defense there by Stinson creates a loose ball, and good hustle by Gotsis. And Dunphy creates a turnover again as Firelands takes it back down. Gotsis misses the shot. Rebound by Maruna, and they're going to get a jump ball out of that one, a held ball. No such thing as a jump ball anymore, although a lot of old habits, you know, it still comes out. Held ball, alternating possession rule, gets the ball to Firelands. 3:10 to go in this first half. It's 30-14 now. Columbia has to be aware of Firelands losing touch with them before halftime. See if they can make some adjustments at the half and find some more offense. This is a three-point shot on the right side by Dunphy. No good. Comes off to Borling. He's quickly into the front court. Weaves him between multiple defenders trying to get down there. And Meyer's shot goes so far off the rim. Hits one of the supporting straps of the backboard up there for a team rebound for Firelands. And their big rebounder comes back in the game now. Jim Onspaw back on the court, number 32. Stinson's going to take a break. He's their leading scorer right now. So you get the leading scorer on the bench. Stinson has 11 right now. Borling for Columbia, number 10, trying to get his offense going. So could be an opportunity here with 2:46 to go for Columbia to get some points going. And Radman's going to get his second travel call, trying to drive on that one.
Yeah, you mentioned some of the substitutions there, and for Firelands right now, the only guy under 6'2" out there is Nick Dunphy. Everybody else is towering right now, so they definitely have their big man lineup in there to close out the half.
Well, we're definitely seeing Firelands go deeper in their bench today. We know that Coach Myers has added a couple of JV players to dress tonight, maybe get them some minutes to try to wear out Columbia as a smaller rotation, and that's part of the strategy. And either way, it's working with a 16-point lead, but Nathan Borling keeps that possession alive with a good rebound, works the ball down to Mengi in the corner. This is back out to Dylan Fisher. Thankfully, he's back on the court after we saw him go down at the end of the first quarter. Meyer back out to Borling. Radman chasing him down, goes past him, so Borling sets up a three-pointer. That one's no good. Nico Gotsis with the rebound. Firelands coming back the other way. Gotsis dishes it off in the corner. Three-point shot, no good. Rebound comes down and controlled by Carter Dooley. 1:50 to go first half. 30-14, still a 16-point lead for Firelands. Gotsis tried to pick Dooley's pocket as he goes to the basket, but Dooley was able to hold on, get to the hoop, and make two for his second basket of the day.
Oh, great adjustment there, up and under, so close to the rim.
Gotsis trying to get it inside down to Draga. It's loose and pulled away by Ethan Meyer for Columbia. Gets into the front court, but duns into a double team. Taken away by Nick Dunphy, who goes all by himself the other way, the left-hand layup. Dunphy has his first 2 points of the game, and it's back out to a 16-point lead. 18 was the biggest lead of the first half for Firelands. Minute 15 to go here in the first half. Errant pass, but no harm, no fouls. Fisher picks it up, drives into the key, kicks it back out to Mengi, who takes the long three-pointer, no good. And good heads-up play by Carter Dooley to save the possession for Columbia. And Trace Karolak is back in, a 5'11 senior guard, seeing a few more minutes than we saw him get when we first had Firelands season opener.
And right now there's just some confusion like you mentioned, the errant pass and some guys maybe looking to move rather than looking for the ball.
Borling turnaround jumper for a two-pointer. It's short. Radman gets it all the way down the court to Onspaw, who stops and then drops it to the streaking Trace Karolak. And, boy, they're getting all kinds of guys in the scorebook here for Firelands in the first half as we're into the final minute and back out to an 18-point Firelands lead. Not a lot of fouls in this game. We had 3 all on Firelands in the first quarter. This is going to be the first foul on the Falcons in the second quarter. And it's only the 5th foul between both teams in 2 quarters. And Max Stinson's going to come back in for the final 43 seconds of this one. Foul on that one was on Jimmy Onspaw. That is his second. So as few fouls as there's been in this game, Onspaw has 2. That's something to keep an eye on. Try to keep him out of foul trouble before the half. And there's an inbound pass to Borling. Great catch and put up. Boy, missed that one. That's not a shot he misses very often. Controlled by Stinson for Firelands. Quickly back the other way. 35 seconds to go. That's Draga in the corner. Back out to Dunphy and Radman. And now this is Karolak on the right side. Back out to Radman at the top of the key. And Firelands might be content to just work for the last shot of the half. Draga, cross-court pass. Tried to hit Karolak is one of the kind of like a football play. Got tipped by the defender, and the offensive guys kind of instinctively still tried to bring it in, but it was too late to do that. So turnover by Firelands, and now Columbia get a chance to whittle down this 18-point Firelands lead with 16 seconds to go. Borling still in the backcourt. He's being hounded by Karolak. Columbia moving on with their offense and doesn't work too well as Firelands comes away with another steal and yet another Columbia turnover, and Max Stinson takes to the hoop, no good. Rebound with 2 seconds to go by Borling. He fires at the length of the court, no good. And that brings an end to this first half, which has really been dominated by Firelands. Again, I repeat that at one point it was 7-6 Firelands, and they have obviously gone on a 27-10 run since that point and gives them an 18-point lead, which matches their largest lead of the game. We're going to see if Columbia can make some adjustments at halftime to get Nate Borling more involved or somebody more involved in their offense as both Santa and Rudolph head to the locker room as well as
how about that?
Christmas time at Firelands, that's for sure, and it's all been gifts for the Falcons so far as Firelands is up 34-16. We'll be right back with halftime stats, some other observations and thoughts, and get you ready for the second half of this Lorain County League game. So stick around with us here on the Lorain County Sports Network. It's definitely Christmas here in Firelands, especially if you're a Falcon fan. We saw before we went to the break, Rudolph and Santa heading off to the locker room, and now we've got Christmas tunes playing here in the gym as it's Firelands 34, Columbia 16 at halftime. And both teams, I think, came into tonight's game with a little, nervousness of what is our team identity? What do we need to do to really get back to that top of the conference type play that both have been expecting coming into the season? For Firelands, trying to be a little more aggressive and win the rebounding battle. What's really become the evident today is that, Coach Myers even made a comment before the game. They're going to let Borling get his points. No, they're not. That was definitely a duke to make sure we weren't focused on that, because they have had a strategy, regardless of whether it's Nate Borling or Sean Whitehead or whoever it is out there in Lorain County basketball. They can apply this type of defensive pressure to the star player of the game and disrupt the flow of the offense. That's going to work wonders for Firelands the rest of the year. And this is one of the ones that maybe we're going to get a lot more views on YouTube, because other teams will be watching and say, hey, what did Firelands do to shut down Borling? Columbia is going to be talking about it in the locker room at halftime to see if they can find a way to free up some more or get some other offense out of some of the guys that we saw in last week's game, like Dylan Fisher. Certainly Ethan Myers had his moments of offensive prowess in this early part of the season. And let's see what Columbia can do to break this down. And as Michael Allison pans away on the senior photos that adorn the far end wall here at Firelands Gymnasium, there's one player there that's a pretty unique one for sure. And I mentioned how it's Christmas season in Firelands, but what we have to find out from Chris Radman with his picture there, his foreground picture does not look a bit like the number 2 blonde-haired, shaggy, hairdo that we see out there with him. So we got to find out if that's going to stay for the whole season, or maybe if mom and dad have purchased a second one that'll replace it after the holidays. But it's a fun holiday so far. We'll see if Firelands can continue on that. Let's run down the scoring here in the first half for the visiting Columbia Raiders. They had 10 in the first quarter, only 6 in the second quarter. They've got 3 players with 4 points. Ethan Meyer, Carter Dooley, and Logan Mengi all have 4 points. Meanwhile, Dylan Fisher and, guess what, Nathan Borling, who came into the game averaging 23.3 points a game, only has 2 here at halftime, and that makes up the 16 points for Columbia. As this halftime show is brought to you by our friends at Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance. Uninsured? Enroll today with Jeff Allison in Amherst. And we look at the Firelands scoring, and they've involved 7 different scorers so far tonight. Starts with Christopher Radman, we were just talking about, number 2, has 1 3-pointer and 2 2-pointers for a total of 7 points. Trace Karolak has a couple points. Nico Gatsis, a couple of baskets for 4 points. Also scoring in the first half, Nick Dunphy off the bench has a basket. Jim Onspall has a couple of 2-pointers in the first quarter. He's got 4 points, and Nate Draga has 4 all in the second quarter. Meanwhile, leading scorer for the Firelands Falcons here at halftime ends up being Max Stinson. Max Stinson doesn't even come in not even averaging double digits. He already has double digits in this game. He's had 4 2-pointers, also buried a 3-pointer in the first quarter for a total of 11 points here at halftime. And let's talk to Max Drummond about some of the other stats that make up, because I know we got to talk about turnovers in this one, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. You mentioned how Firelands, you almost expect, okay, Nathan Borling's going to do his thing. He's going to get his. But they've swarmed him. He hasn't been able to hit a single 3. He's attempted 4 of them, as well as the half-court shots, 5 of them, but hasn't hit one yet. They haven't allowed Columbia to get to the line. And, yeah, those turnovers you mentioned. Firelands was a little wary of that, even in their wins. Well, they've doubled up Columbia in the turnover margin, 11 to the Falcons 6. So they're applying a lot of pressure, especially in the front court. As soon as Borling is across that front line, minimum 2 guys are going at him, sometimes 3, as we saw. It's an amazing thing there. And then for the Falcons, they're shooting pretty well from 3. They're being selective about it, getting the open looks. 3 of 7 from downtown as a group, and you'll take that all day. That's nearly 50%. And their size advantage is showing. Jim Onspall, 6 rebounds. You also got 4 rebounds for Nico Gastis, including 3
of his
offensive boards back to back to back. So just real dominance there on the defensive side from Firelands, and it's bleeding into their offense.
Yeah, we joke about Nico kind of building up his stats, but the reality is he's still fighting at the basket, and Columbia had a chance to get their hands on any of those and not doing it, and that's where Firelands winning that battle, not only disrupting what's happening for the Columbia Raiders on the offensive side of things. But the reality is numbers do kind of bear themselves out. We know that Nate Borling was held to 17 in his last game, but there's no way they're going to be able to hold a guy like that to 2 points. And one of the things that seems to be disrupting him is that second. He always knows that second player is coming at him. I've seen a couple of those, especially on the three-pointers. Even when he beats his first guy and gets his shot up, he knows someone's coming at him from the side, and I think it's distracting him just a little bit. See how he adjusts and get used to that as we get ready for the second half here. And this is the Stewart's TV and Appliance Game of the Week on the Lorain County Sports Network. The Lorain County Sports Network, production of the WOBL and WDLW Sports Department. And for Stewart's TV and Appliance, shop smart, shop local, shop Stewart's TV and Appliance. We've got a minute before we tip off this second half, and we'll see what the Columbia Raiders can do to try to break into this 18-point lead as it's Firelands 34, Columbia 16. We'll be right back on the Lorain County Sports Network. Third quarter is ready to go here from Firelands High School. I'm John Guzik along with Max Drummond, bringing you this final YouTube broadcast of 2023, but we will be back in 2024, starting the season. Well, so the ruling there, if you rule that rule, Nico Gotts is looking for it over and back as he finally does steal it and takes it the other way and gets Firelands on the board quickly here in the second half. The ruling there by the official, what his motion meant was that because the Columbia player never actually had full possession of the ball, it wasn't over and back. But Nico said, doesn't matter, I'm going to take the ball away anyway. We're still seeing that double team on Borling. This is Mengi coming out of the corner on the top of the key, gets it over to Dooley, tries a three and hits it. We need some more of those for Columbia. Get back in this one.
Yeah, right there. Great look there by the Columbia offense, and a lot of attention on Borling still.
I thought that was a three. They only put two up there on the board. I thought I saw the official. Oh, now they got the third point up there. Right? No, this is Borling getting the rebound off the missed Fireland shot. Comes down the other way. Again, all kinds of defense on him. So that means somebody's got to be open. And this time it's going to be Carter Dooley again. Can't answer on the second one. Radman comes down with the rebound, and Fireland's coming back the other way with a 17-point lead now. Nico Gotsis gets it on the right wing, working it down along the baseline, takes a drop step, tries to get it up, and it's no good. A rule that went last touched by a Columbia player, so Fireland's team rebound, keep the ball, and that'll be Nate Draga taking it out of bounds.
Yeah, and Gostis specifically may not get credit for that offensive board, but his pressure and his action down low definitely caused that off of Columbia.
There's the Grinch we saw as his senior photo, no good. Nico Gotsis working with the rebounding again and put back. Gives him 4 points in this quarter, 8 for the game, and now the largest lead of the contest for Firelands. They're up by 19 with 6:28 to go third quarter.
We saw Borling really pushing the point of attack last time. And
there's a Borling's jumper, his second field goal of the game. Nicely done against Radman's pressure. Created enough space, nice floater, but all the way back the other way is Stinson. And boy, it's a coming out party for Max Stinson as he's going to drop the two here and get the foul with a chance to go to another one at the line. As we go back to the Rewalk Law free throw line, Max Stinson gets one shot. He already has 13 points in this game. And the lead is getting to the point where it's way too early to call it insurmountable, but Columbia's got to find some offense as they are now down by 20. 41-21, 6:12 to go third quarter. Yeah, Mengi bringing it up for Columbia. Again, we're seeing Mengi having full control leading the offense, where last week we really saw Borling bringing it into the front court more than half the time. And he's getting double teamed again, gets it out to Meyer. This is Mengi on the left side. Good hustle by the Firelands defense, covering up passing lanes. Borling turnaround jumper, good. That's where you sit there and say, scorer's going to score, and keep giving Nathan Borling touches because he's got 4 already this quarter after only having 2 in the first half. Onspot driving the baseline, gets double teamed. On the rule when the defenders fouled him from behind. Looks like the foul is going to be, and we're on opposite the table side, but that foul is going to be on Maruna. His first foul of the game, second team foul. And this is football quarterback Jimmy Almspaw going to the line. This is the first of 2 free throws. Almspaw, line left, eyes it up, hits it up. That one rolls in. He's got 5. Firelands by 19. Mengi into the front court. Trying to create some offense. Got double screen going down below for Columbia. Trying to create some space for Borling, but they're going to dump it down to Dooley. Misses the layup from the opposite side. Stinson not only comes down with the basketball, but is in the front court before you can say Max Stinson has the rebound. On spot to the hoop. That one's blocked. Comes off to Mengi. Go the other way. Columbia's defensive pressure definitely looks a little more solid. Borling going to try a deep 3. We saw a bunch of those go in last week. That one does not. Ethan Meyer with the rebound. Gets it down on the block. Cross the lane to Gage Maruna, and Gage has his first 2 points of the game. Columbia trying to work it back. Now down 17 with 4:52 to go in this third quarter. Max Stinson stops. That one short. Almost got his own rebound, but he's going to pick up the foul instead as he belts Carter Dooley to the floor, and sophomore says, "Hey, senior guy, take it easy out here a little bit. Don't need to be banging around like that."
Yeah, we've seen a lot of these young guys welcome to varsity moments early in the game and now even into the second half for Columbia. But it's part of that process here in the high school level, just taking your lumps, but also trying your best to recover from them.
First team foul on Firelands for the first half, and as Columbia takes it down the other way, throws it right out of bounds. Some type of miscommunication. Mengi thought it was going to go one way and went the other, and Nico Gotsis has it, drops it down past to Draga, works it up, no good. Rebound from the other side. Onspaw trying to fight it up against 2 defenders. It doesn't go. Rebound comes off to Maruna, and Maruna was really fighting him on the block there to disrupt that pass, and here comes Dooley the other way. Ball fake and lays it up and in. Dooley having himself a nice game, as he has 9 points on the game already. Nico Gotsis trying to go back the other way. Ethan Meyer set like to take the charge, but I'm telling you, I know some of the Firelands fans out here were groaning about that one, but it clearly his feet just slipped out from him, and we saw that at least 3 times in the first half. Why this floor is so slippery tonight, I'm not sure, because we mentioned earlier that they were taking care of the floor and sweeping it between games even and everything, but definitely a little slick out there. Dooley picks up his dribble, and Nico Gotsis tries to create some havoc. It gets it away, and this time it's Maruna on the right block. Gets it out to Meyer. This is Borling. Always having 2 jerseys on him, and he knows that, and he gets it down below. Max Stinson creates some defensive pressure, and the shot's no good. Columbia maintains possession, but that shot's blocked out of bounds. Radman back in for Gotsis. He's going to sit down. And we're also going to see number 10, Nick Dunphy, come into the game for Firelands. And Onspaw is going to take a break with 3:38 to go. Columbia has whittled the lead down to 15 at least. Now inbounds pass comes in quickly to Maruna on the cut, and he gets fouled going to the basket, so he'll go to the foul line. Columbia has not been to the foul line yet today. Gage Maruna needs to take advantage of that, getting 2 shots at the line with the clock stopped.
Yeah, that's one thing they definitely, to try to slow this game down, not just in its tempo, but obviously on the scoreboard. If you can start doing that, that's going to be helpful cutting into this lead.
Misses the first one. Foul was on Nick Dunphy, his first of the game. Second team foul of the quarter. Second shot by Maruna is up and good. He has 3 points, and it is down to 14 after an 18-point halftime lead for Firelands. And Dunphy comes right down, tries the 3, no good. Rebounded by Borling. This is where Borling was really effective last week, just bringing it down and creating offense on his own. Flips up a left hander, a little out of control, no good. Rebounded by Draga. Radman coming up, and he doesn't see Borling behind him. He pops it loose, recovers it himself, brings it back the other way, gets blocked by Stinson trying to make a move. Way out top, that basket goes in but won't count. Long before he picked up his dribble.
And I'll tell you what, they're making him uncomfortable trying to look for that open pass whenever they double. But while he's in his shooting motion, he never looks phased, I'll tell you that.
But that's a great point of what's happened with this Firelands defense, is they made him look uncomfortable. And now we're going to have a foul off the ball down below, and that one's going to be also on Firelands, a hold. So that one's going to go against Devin Lynn. It's his first, but it's the team fourth. So Columbia will be shooting the rest of this quarter if Firelands fouls again. That's Borling with a nice little soft teardrop shot. And all of a sudden, Nate Borling has 8, and it's down to a 12-point lead. This is Draga looking, getting some softer defense. Stinson, leading scorer so far for Firelands, drops it off to Radman. Working it around, Lynn, Draga in the corner. Three-pointer is no good. Stinson creates some space and grabs the rebound. Out to Radman and across to Lynn. Down on the block to Nico Gatsis. Way out to Radman for a deep three. It's short. Rebound comes off to Carter Dooley for Columbia, and the Raiders come the other way, trying to take this down to a 10-point or less lead. Ethan Meyer dumps it down to Dooley on the right side, knocked away on the pass. Hits the baseline, so Columbia will keep the ball, and Fireland's going to get a couple of their guys back on the court here. As first is Trace Karolak, who comes back off the bench. Draga is going to take a break. Lynn takes a break. And Onspaugh's back out there applying defense on Maruna. Now we got another foul away from the ball. It's 2 possessions in a row where the lead official comes out with a foul well away from the ball. It's going to be a hold on Trace Karolak, his second, but more importantly, it's the team 5th, and it's on Nate Borling, their best shooter, to send him to the line for 2.
Yeah, I totally understand wanting to be physical, especially with him off the ball, but this close to the end of the quarter, you maybe almost want to give him a little bit of leeway and not get him to the line this easy.
So here's the ups and downs of this game. The Firelands was up with just 1. Well, we got some type of uniform problem here with Jimmy Onspaugh. I think he must have some type of blood on his jersey. So they're telling him he has to come out. He doesn't want to come out. Nate Draga will come back in for him, and Jimmy Onspaugh will go down and either see the trainer or uniform change, whatever it'll be. And looking at the trainer giving him some attention in the far corner as Borling takes his second free throw is good. And how about that? 8 points in the quarter for Nate Borling, and now it's 8 points less difference in the lead as Firelands only up by 10 here. 2:12 to go in the third quarter. Gatsis working it around. Radman from the left side. It hits a 3. Says we'll cut that out that scoring drought by Firelands in a big way.
And what an impressive find. I mean, cross half court there, and just somehow didn't get tipped off by a Raider.
Radman in double figures now. He has 10. This is Dylan Fisher trying to create some offense. No good. Rebound comes down to Draga going the other way. It's deep pass. Gets down to Trace Karolak, but he gets it knocked away as he comes down with it. And the ball goes out of bounds. So it looks like they took care of whatever was the issue with Onspaugh. He's back on the bench. I don't know if he got I think he had blood on himself. He must have got a scratch or something on one of the plays. And they cleaned that up. Inbounds comes to Radman on the other side. He looks like it's going to take a 3, and you got to respect the fact that he can drain those from there. But Max Stinson resetting, looking in to drop it in low. This is Draga, turnaround jumper in the lane. Beautifully done for the big guy. 6'2" guy, making it look like he's a 5'10" guard, turning around like that. And it's back up to 15 all of a sudden for Firelands with 1:18 to go.
Well, that's a miscommunication.
Gage Maruna wide open on the block, turns around and drops it in. Columbia got to take advantage where you can. This is Draga driving. And he got just a half a step on Maruna enough that the contact by Maruna is going to be called a foul. From Maruna, that's his second of the game and third of the quarter on Columbia. 1:04 to go here. Third quarter. Columbia had gotten the lead down to 10. Firelands trying to build on this lead now as he dumps it in the corner to Dunphy. Tries a 3, no good. Draga with the rebound, going to go back up himself against Maruna, and Maruna has 2 fouls in the last 5 seconds and 3 on the game, and that one's going to send Draga to the line. Nate went to the line. He was the only person to go to the line in the first half. Made 1 out of 2. He'll be back for 2 shots on this trip with 59 seconds to go.
Yeah, I mean, he's all over the floor on offense. We obviously know he's a great rebounder, but I mean, he's taking step backs. He's spotting up in the corner. He's putting the ball on the floor. I mean,
Well, that step back was very agile last time, but what he's done these 2 times to get the foul on Maruna is he's at a quick first step. And once he gets just a little bit past the body, the contact's going to be on the defender, and he knows that. He's happy to draw the fouls and get to the line. Second one's up and in. So he's 3 for 4 from the line today. He has 8, and it's back out to a 15-point lead. Under a minute to go, third quarter. Here on the Lorain County Sports Network, I'm John Guzik along with Max Drummond, and that's Nate Borling for Columbia driving down the lane. Dooley on the left side, cross-court pass to Meyer. Meyer all covered up by Draga. Back to Borling, step-back jumper from 3, good. Wow. Nate Borling knows how to drill him.
that'll be his first 3 of the night. We'll see if that gives him a little more groove heading into the final quarter.
Well, he's got 13 now. A guy who averages over 22 and only had 2 in the first half. Firelands content to go with the last play, but quick pass down to Dunphy, misses it. Rebound by Karolak. That putback's no good, and here comes Dooley the other way, trying to draw the fast break. He somehow got the ball out to Mengi. Missed that shot, and Radman comes off with it from Firelands the other way. 10 seconds to go. Radman pulls up at the line, takes a shot, good. Radman has 5 in the quarter and 12 for the game. Last second shot by Meyer, full, not going to go. And after all that back and forth, the Firelands Falcons push it back out to a 14-point lead as the third quarter ends. We'll be back for the exciting finish because it's been nonstop. A lot of fun here on this Tuesday night in Henrietta Township. So come back and join us as we'll be back. Firelands 51, Columbia 37 on the Lorain County Sports Network. Firelands comes into this game averaging 55 points a contest. They've already got 51 today after only scoring 56 in their last game. So they're probably going to exceed both of those totals as we have the fourth quarter action underway. On the floor there, that's Draga inbounding it back to Max Stinson. Nico Gotsis is out there. Jim Onspaw and Chris Radman for Firelands. Logan Mengi playing defense for Columbia right there, but Stinson's just going to take a turnaround jumper, no good. Rebounded by Nate Borling, who exploded there in the third quarter. Now getting his offensive rhythm going. Let's see what else he can do here to see if they can get the Raiders back in. But that time he gets harassed again by multiple white jerseys, but he recovers the ball, swing it around on the left side for a three-point attempt. That's no good by Daniel Corrigan, who's now in the game. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That was Dooley. There's a little misstep by Firelands here. So both teams a little haggard here to start the fourth quarter. But, of course, the pressure's on the Raiders to make up this 14-point deficit. And this is Logan Mengi coming into the front court, trying to make something happen. Stinson has pressure on him. This is Dooley again. Borling gets it over to Fisher, who drives the lane, takes a step, shots up, no good. Gets his own rebound. Borling now has the ball, and guess what? He's got 2 defenders on him, and a third intercepting his pass is Max Stinson. He gets a push in the back as Onspaw went up to the basket, and they're going to call the foul on the defender in front of them. As if they call the foul on the defender behind him, they could go with an intentional foul there. And it was kind of bang-bang of which one happened first, but foul's going to be called on Ethan Meyer. It's his second of the game, and of course we reset every quarter now, so just the first team foul of the fourth quarter. And Jim Onspaw at the line for first time today misses the first of 2. And for Columbia, they get Gage Maruna back out there, who gets back on the court with 5 points so far. He's also averaging 6 rebounds a game, so they need his work down below as well. Second free throw is also no good. Dooley comes down with the rebound, loses that, he goes to the floor. Referee Tom Stanton comes in with a quick whistle to say we're going to jump that up and go to the alternating possession arrow. And since Firelands just started this quarter, it's Columbia basketball. Still down by 14, 6:51 to go. No one scored here in the fourth quarter yet. Columbia into the floor court. That's Ethan Meyer working it down on the block. And pass is knocked away out of bounds by Stinson, so Columbia will keep the possession.
Of course, we're going to see a lot of urgency from Columbia here in this final quarter, but Firelands, they really live on the fast break and the transition. Well, interesting to see if they'll slow that down, try to take up some more time here and try to ice this game away.
And there's a three-point shot, and that's a way to get back in as Gage Maruna drops his first made three-pointer of the day, and it's down to an 11-point lead. Maruna now has 8, and this is Stinson, who was the leading scorer at halftime, misses his three-pointer. Rebound corralled by Dylan Fisher. Fisher was bringing it in the floor court. They want to get it to Borling right away, get him more touches, pulls up for a three-pointer. Good. I'll tell you what, Nate Borling gets going. He's as good as any in the whole Lorraine County. We'll talk about that Mr. Basketball watch in just a little bit, but we've got a 30-second timeout, so we'll take one as well. Firelands 51, Columbia 43, 6:10 left in this one on the Lorraine County Sports Network. Firelands with the ball and now down to an 8-point lead here on the Lorraine County Sports Network. John Guzik along with Max Drummond. We told you there's an excitement left in this one despite the big lead by Firelands. Columbia eating away at this lead. And that's why Firelands took their second time out of the game. This is Nico Gotsis working it back up. Oh, man. When he slices and dices and gets to the hoop, he's as dangerous as anyone from that spot. Nathan Borling trying to answer for Columbia. Gets it to Ethan Meyer. Meyer going to take it himself down the lane, tries to drop it down, and it's intercepted by Draga, but the resulting pass to try to get up court is picked off by Dooley. Columbia's Morling works it over to Meyer. Meyer looking down low to Dooley. Again, he gets another layup opportunity, but that one's blocked from behind. But Jimmy Onspaw came over and took that one away. Max Stinson gets his dribble upset by Dooley on the way back. So here's Meyer going against Radman to the hoop, tries the reverse layup, no good. Rebound Maruna, gives it back to Meyer. Kind of a little helter-skelter right now. Meyer trying to put a capper on that possession, can't do it. Max Stinson with the rebound. Good possession. 5:07 in this game. Radman in the corner, drives down the baseline, dumps it to Nico Gotsis from inside the foul line, no good. Rebound Borling. Firelands offense has really just staggered this quarter, and I think Nico said, you know what, we'll just slow things down for a little bit. He'll take the foul. See that more in the NBA. You don't ever see a lot of high school kids willing to just say, I'll take the foul here and let's talk about this for a second. And
let's catch our breath.
Gotsis and Radman going to take a break here, so they're fresh for the final stretch of this one. Back to 10-point lead for Firelands. Nathan Borling guarded closely all day, if not by one, by two guys. Gets it to Mengi. Mengi works it back up top of the key. Ethan Meyer going to try a three under pressure. That one misses. Dooley, the rebound, bumped by his own guy, but maintains possession. Dumps it back out to Mengi for a three. That one's no good. Rebound Dunphy, but he gets hit by Carter Dooley from behind as he brings it in. And that's going to be the third foul of the quarter on the Columbia Raiders. First foul of the game against Carter Dooley. 10-point lead, 4.5 to go in this one. Firelands with the ball and that 10-point lead, but their offense has been stagnated this quarter. Only 2 points so far. Dunphy down. This is Onspaw, cross-court pass, dangerous one, all the way to Lynn. Lynn works it against Mengi down in the corner. That was Onspaw. Draga now dumps it down to Dunphy. Quick pass back to Onspaw, and a little back and forth creates enough space for Nick Dunphy to hit that jumper. Dunphy has 4.
A great give and go right there.
I think that was a give and a go and a give and a go and a give and a go. But yes, well done. Borling defensive specialist is Trace Karolak out there. He's gotten himself a lot of minutes today. The shot's no good. We're going to get a push on Firelands. And Columbia is going to maintain possession. I think this one's going to be on spot. No, it's on Draga. Draga gets the call. It's only his first foul of the game. Second team foul of this final quarter. Columbia down by 12.
Missed one there.
Looking to inbound. This is Dooley working into the lane. Flips it up, no good. Gets the foul call from behind. As he goes to the, I almost said to the turf. I'm still in football mode in some respects after a long season here with following. It's been so much fun following those Avon Eagles all the way to the state semifinals. Oh my gosh, that was a blast. But it does send Dooley to the line. His first trip there today, he makes the first one. He's now in double figures. He's only been averaging 4.5 a game, so getting double figures out of him is a good blessing for the Columbia offense. And then, as Onspaw come down with the rebound, Ethan Meyer battled him for it, knocks it out of bounds, so they'll keep it. 11-point difference now, 3.5 to go. It was 18 points at halftime, so Columbia has whittled it down, but Firelands doing their best to protect it, and good sharing of the ball like that results in a Draga three-pointer, and that is what can be a formula for a W for Firelands. Has now pushed it back out to a 14-point lead, 3:10 to go, fourth quarter.
I mean, we saw 3 extra passes. Any one of them could have taken the shot, but they just kept looking, and they found the best one possible. It happened to be from downtown.
Meyer's feet slid, and again, he's a talented offensive player. So when his feet slide like that, he gets a travel call. I'm going to blame that one on the floor again, because we've just seen a lot of slipping here at Firelands so far tonight.
Yeah, now it's causing them to go into that full court press, really try to limit the number of offensive possessions here for Firelands.
What Firelands does, they do a pretty good job with the ball, and if they can avoid the turnovers, all it does is take more time off the clock because the possessions will be longer. But Nico Gatsa says this possession's ending in 2 more points for the Falcons, his first 2 of the fourth quarter, and he's now in double figures. He has 10, 60-44. It's a 16-point lead. Ethan Meyer dumps it down in the corner. Dooley trying to create some space. Blocked by Gotsis. Mengi picks it up before it goes out of bounds. Dribbles around Gotsis to the hoop, and a teardropper drops in for Mengi as he has 6 on the game. We're going to get a timeout off the Columbia bench. Josh Sharp says we got one last chance here. Try to make some noise. As still down by 14 is Columbia. It's 60-46 in favor of Firelands with 2:28 to go. We'll be back with the finish here on the Lorain County Sports Network. Welcome back to Firelands High School, home of the Falcons. I feel like I'm reading a teleprompter because that's what the scorers table says in front of me, as they do a great job here. This is the 3rd time I've been at Firelands here in the last week and a half. So 2 of them for girls' games, back here tonight for this game. And although it's a 14-point lead, it hasn't at any point felt like they've put it away. And I know Max Drummond, what do you got to do in 2:28? When you've only scored 46 points so far today? You got to make up a 14-point lead. Can it be done?
Of course, Nate Borling, if he's able to get streaky here, hit from downtown a few times, they'll definitely put a lot of pressure on Firelands to have to close out.
And here's the pressure from Columbia full court. Chris Radman taking it himself, but then finally finds Drake in the middle of the court on Spall, and a quick pass over on the left side to Trace Karolak. Gets him his 2nd basket of the night. He has 4. Back out to 16-point lead, and Nate Borling so quick into the front court, he draws the foul on Max Stinson. For Stinson, that's going to be his 3rd now. And it's the 4th on the Falcons. And again, another way you do make up those points is get to the foul line, and Columbia will be shooting the rest of the way, 2 shots on every foul for Columbia. Ethan Meyer looking inbound, 2:11 to go. Long pass to Borling at the block. Doesn't like the shot selection there, dumps it back out, and they work it around to Ethan Meyer. Try 3-pointers, good. for Ethan Meyer, his first 3 of the game. He now has 7 points. It's back down to 13, but we're under 2 minutes, and so Max Stinson will take his time, bringing it in the front court. Gets it over to Chris Radman. Dumps it over to Draga, looking. Onspaw in the corner. Not really getting pressure on those guys, so they're willing to keep the Columbia defense running around. And Borling knocks it away, but Radman picks it up. Good pass in the corner over to Draga. That three-pointer is no good. Battle for the rebound. And they're going to call a foul on Ethan Meyer, say he made illegal contact with Gage Maruna trying to get the rebound. I'm sorry, reverse that, Gage Maruna. So 3rd foul of the quarter on Columbia.
Well, definitely, I was going to say right there, perfect opportunity to try to set up a turnover, but
I'm getting my threes backwards because that was Meyer with his 3rd foul of his game and a 3rd foul of the team for the quarter. Firelands happy to work time off. We're down to 1:20 with a 13-point lead. It's going to be academic here in a matter of a couple more passes. Good drop-down pass on the block to Karolak. Gets it back to Radman. You know, he wanted that 3, but he realized, hey, the smart play here is to keep passing the ball. Yeah. And he does that, and so Jim Onspaw picks up a foul, only the 4th on Columbia this quarter. So Fireland's still taking the ball out of bounds. 67 seconds is all that's left in this one. First foul of the game on Borling.
Yeah, so each side now with a foul to give.
We'll have our Peace, Love, and Donuts post-game show coming up in a little bit. We'll have a player of the game to recognize for you. We'll talk to the winning coach. We'll wrap up the stats. Make sure you have our schedule for not only the rest of this week, but working into 2024 here on the Lorain County Sports Network. And now with this 15th foul of the quarter, it's going to send Draga to the line again. He's already 3 out of 4 from the line. And again, remember, new rule this year, all fouls are 2 shots, unless they're of the end one variety. Puts it back out to a 14-point lead. And we mentioned about how do you make up a 14-point deficit when there's less than 3 minutes to go. It becomes a whole lot harder when there's just barely a minute to go. And Nate Draga is now 5 out of 6 from the line today, and it puts out to a 15-point lead. So we're going to run the balance of this minute out here, but Fireland's going to move to 3-1 on the season in the conference. That's their most important record. Carter Dooley picks up a couple more points there with 48 seconds to go. For Columbia, they're not going to drop to 2-2 with back-to-back losses in the conference. And both teams looking at kind of different schedules coming up over the break, trying to treat the break a little differently. Fireland's going to play a few more contests. Columbia going to have a little bit more of a break. Carter Dooley runs out to pick up the foul, so indicate to Fireland they haven't quite given up yet, but 13-point lead with 30 seconds to go. It's pretty hard to make up. It's going to send Max Stinson to the line. He's been there once today, made his free throw. Max had 11 points in the first quarter, was our leading scorer at halftime. Has 14 now, trying to add to that, and he does.
And you alluded to the differences in schedules coming up. You know, Columbia, they may have some time to think about, but 3 more road games in a row to make it 5 total. So they're definitely going to be in some unfriendly confines moving forward.
Stinson now has himself 16 points on the game. 15-point lead. Ethan Meyer working in, still getting defensive pressure all the way down the court. Dooley drops it back down on the other side to Logan Mengi, and Logan hits at his 8th point of the game. Final 13 seconds of this one. Again, we'll take a break at the buzzer and then come back with our post-game show, as it looks like our final score today is going to be Firelands 66, Columbia 53. Max Stinson doing a good job making sure he doesn't travel there.
That pivot foot had to be maintained.
So 66-53, the final score. Firelands gets their 4th win of the year, 3rd in the conference. Columbia is going to drop to 2-3 on the season, but more importantly for them, just 2-2 in the conference at this early stage. And you can see the kind of things both teams need to work on, and we'll talk about that and give away our post-game awards. So stick around with us as we'll be back in just a minute here on the Lorain County Sports Network. Back here at Firelands High School. Glad to have you along on the Lorain County Sports Network. Got to give a shout out. I mentioned about girls basketball that I was here for twice last week. And Mark Feldman, many know that name from Lorain High days. He is now the JV coach here in his retiring years. And saw him, so he was going to go home and put up his YouTube on his 65-inch TV. So we got to give a shout out to Mark Feldman, and good luck to him helping out with the Firelands girls program here. Happy to have you watching out there tonight. I'm sure he's very happy with the Firelands boys taking care of business with a 66-53 win over the Columbia Raiders, and it gives us a chance to invite you into the Peace, Love, and Little Donuts postgame show. Peace, Love, and Little Donuts. Feed your inner hippie, and we've got some awards to hand out. We have some conversations about how this game progressed and what it means moving forward, and a couple other notes about girls basketball since I brought up Mark Feldman. It was an interesting day yesterday for girls basketball in Lorain County. Riley Cubbits for Black River became the Pirates' all-time leading scorer on a day when the Elyria Catholic Panther girls got a chance to play at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. So our own Dave Rivera was down there experiencing that. And listen to Dave this coming Friday night, because he's gonna be out of breath on Friday night. It's Bay versus Brookside in Sheffield Village this Friday night on WOBL. Those are two teams that aren't shy to take shots, and so who knows what the stats are going to look like after that one. Meanwhile, on WDLW, they'll have girls basketball tomorrow night. It's a big one from Avon Lake, as Midview will be there for a Southwestern Conference match, and still a lot of uncertainty with that Liv DeFranco injury and if she's coming back, when she's coming back. So make sure you tune in tomorrow. Don Vincent and Maria Janasco on WDLW. And on Friday night, it's Avon Lake again on WDLW, but this time they'll be at Lorain High School as the Shoremen travel into Lorain to take on the Titans in their annual matchup against with Lorain and Avon Lake, and that'll be on WDLW. For us here on YouTube, we are going to be off next Tuesday because of Christmas. There's not a whole lot of high school sports activities scheduled for the day after Christmas, but the day after New Year's is a little different because we're going to go over to Vermilion and have that Black River boys team taking on the Vermilion Sailors in a non-conference game. And we'll continue on every Tuesday of the regular season into February. So make sure you stick around and keep that bookmark, subscribe and bookmark and like and share and all that stuff on your YouTube channel on the Lorain County Sports Network, as we'll be with you all season long. And appreciate having you along with us today. By the way, I get to be at Lorain High on Saturday for girls basketball. They'll be taking on Avon. That's more of a personal thing than a radio thing. So let's get into the Peace, Love, and Little Donuts post-game show as we will get to the rebound report first, because Coach Colin Myers from Firelands had mentioned before the game started he wanted to make sure they won the rebound battle tonight, and Max Drummond can tell us if they did and who helped them do that.
That's right. So for Firelands, they ended up coming away with 13 offensive rebounds as a team. They were very dominant down low, and a lot of those coming from Nico Gotsis. I know he had 4 himself, and then overall, Nate Draga also getting 5 rebounds as part of our Romeo's Pizza rebound report, locally owned and operated in LaGrange and Lorain. So great job there by them, just getting a lot of second chance points that way, or being able to kickstart those fast breaks.
Unfortunately, we didn't get a slam dunk of the night, because Slam Dunk is brought to you by Steve Lawson of Russell Real Estate Services. Selling or buying your next home? Consider top-performing realtor Steve Lawson. And appreciate all the sponsors who make things happen. And here's a guy, I don't know, can you dunk? we just leave that up to Nico, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, you guys come up here with, not, get in and out of showers and no uniforms on and things like that. So make sure you tell our listeners that why we have you on the air. What kind of game do you have tonight?
I feel like this year I've been a lot more confident shooting the ball. I've been shooting my shots a lot more, getting more shots up, and I feel like I did that tonight. I got to the line 3 times. I knocked down 5 of 6 free throws. So I'm doing stuff that last year I might not have been doing. I was a little bit more hesitant, but this year I've been a lot more aggressive shooting my shots that I want to shoot.
Well, talk about tonight's game, because you came in averaging pretty well. You've been doing pretty well on the offensive side of it. You're averaging over 12 points a game. You exceeded that tonight. So talk about how the game progressed for you on the floor. Like, what's going through your mind? You build a big lead. It was obviously close at the beginning. Coach Colin Myers called a timeout. There was 7-6. So is anything you remember from that timeout that was key?
Yeah, a big part of that timeout was that we were just shooting terrible shots. Everyone on the floor could see it. I was super upset. I mean, I was talking to Colin about it. We were just coming down and shooting terrible shots, and our offense doesn't work when we do that. We can't do that kind of offense. We have to shoot our shots. At the end there, I mean, you saw what we could do when we do shoot our shots in rhythm, and we're not just coming on and chucking up shots. So that was big for us.
Well, we love when you guys share the ball, but you're the 6'2" forward down there, but you actually were as much of a three-point shooting threat tonight for your team. So how do you balance that way? Even we're working in practice, do you work more playing on the block, or do you work more draining the shots from deep?
Yeah, so like at practice, kind of works the same way for a few people. They'll sometimes we'll have like skill work with bigs and guards, and me, Nico, and some other guys. We're just like, where should we go? So we get to practice all that kind of stuff, and coach is happy with us shooting outside shots, inside shots. It depends on the matchup, depends on the situation. We call 4 out, 1 in for me. We called it there in the third quarter, and I shot that post fade. But then other times it's 4 out, 1 in for Jim, and I'm on the outside, and that's when I can get my threes up.
If you weren't so good at what you're doing on the court, I'd tell you to come back here behind the microphone. You do a great job of describing those shots, the post fade and getting the three-pointer out. I love that. You're our shooting star of the game. We recognize a shooting star each game. Brought to you by United States Air Force. Aim high. Visit Staff Sergeant McCraven in Avon, or airforce.com, because Nate Draga, you were all over the court. Like you said, you had a couple of two-pointers. You had a couple of three-pointers. You were awesome at the line, especially when you needed 5 out of 6 from the line. Did everything you needed to do for a 15-point night, but also, as we mentioned in the rebound report, our leading rebounder. So, Nate, we're going to name you our player of the game, and Hoop Tech brings you our player of the game each week where basketball meets technology. And for all your efforts tonight, Nate, you get this wonderful WOBL, WDLW T-shirt. You wear that proudly around school. And that's designed and brought to you by Lake Screen Printing, Lorain County's oldest and largest union label screen print company. So appreciate everything you guys did tonight. Now looking forward to the rest of the season. You guys have kind of like established yourself at the top of the Lorain County League. You've got a busy Christmas break coming up. Tell us what's being worked on next for the Firelands Falcons.
What's being worked on for us is doing everything right that we did wrong against Wellington. You guys said that we're top of the conference, but depending on what Brookside does, we're not top of the conference. We gotta overcome them. They're the only team that hasn't lost yet, and so we have to take what we did against Wellington completely 180 from that. And I feel like we did a really good job of that tonight for 3 quarters. Third quarter got a little bit rough, but the other 3 quarters, I thought we did that really well. So we got to keep moving, keep doing that over break, go into Vermilion, get a big win out of conference, and then come back into the in-conference.
So tell us about it. You talk about things didn't go well for a little bit, and you talked about what Coach Myers said at the timeout when it was a 1-point game, and you guys really took off after that. But as part of this senior leadership on this team, how do you kind of make sure that your team stays level-headed and gets back to where you want it to be when you have those spots in the games like today?
Well, actually, Coach has been telling us to get on each other about mistakes and when we're not doing our job. So that's a big thing. In the huddles, we're being a lot more vocal than normal. I know myself personally, I try to be a leader out there. And I feel like I took it to a higher level with that today because there was a time where we didn't score for 7 straight possessions. So we had to come down and get a good shot. And then we did that. We had a few possessions. We moved the ball around and got good shots, and they went in.
So have you made your plans for what you're doing next year? You really should go into communications. Now, you do a great job. Appreciate you coming up here and spending some time with us on interviewing us. But I love your analysis and your very specifics on that. That's awesome. And wish you guys the best of the luck. And the difference we've seen from when we had OBL at the beginning of the season to today, obviously we're seeing the growth of what Firelands is doing and how your hard work is paying off. So continued good luck to you. Nate Draga is our Hoop Tech player of the game and the winning team from Firelands tonight with a 66-53 victory in the conference over the Columbia Raiders. Appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you, sir.
All right, good luck to you the rest of the way. And we got a chance to talk to the winning head coach here in just a minute as we wrap things up here from Henrietta Township, and we'll talk about all the stats that make up the game and give you a rundown of the scores. But let's get a few minutes with the winning head coach. And Coach Colin Myers, we tell every coach before the game, hey, we want to talk to the winning head coach after the game. So I'm never sure if that's an incentive to come up here and talk to us or not, but we're happy to have you on here. Congratulations on a nice win tonight.
Thank you. We're happy to be the ones talking to you after the game, too.
So what stands out to you tonight's game? We'll go back to the beginning of the game. 1-point game early on. you take what has to be one of the most effective timeouts called because your team came out and then rolled out to an 18-point lead by halftime. So what was the words to the team at that point, or what did you see on the court that you wanted to correct?
Yeah, we've been preaching this whole week. We had a couple really good practices. We moved the ball really well, and when we're open, we get good looks and the shots fall. So that's what we were preaching. We were getting good looks on offense. Shots were going in. We played at a quicker tempo, got some runouts and some layups, and then our defense just feeds off our offense. So we were really able to get going there.
Well, I don't want you to give away any state secrets because you got to play these guys again later in the season, but you mentioned to me before the game that a guy like Nate Borling for Columbia is going to get his points, but he didn't get his points in the first half. You guys had an awesome defensive strategy, but still, it's not really a box and one. You guys were all over the court. So how do you practice that, and how would you describe your strategy tonight against Borling?
Yeah, we have some quick athletic defenders here on this team. We're kind of deep at that position, so we kind of just going into it. We're going to rotate kids in on him, make him work for everything, and he did. I mean, he had to get some tough looks, some tough shots, and he's a great player. I mean, we knew that going in, had to take care of him, and he still got some looks up and knocked down some tough shots. He played well.
And it looked like you had Trace Karolak out there, who's not a guy who shows up big in the stat book, but he was a primary defender on Borling for a lot of the game. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those quick defenders. He's able to match up with any guard. He can move well up and down the floor. And even offensively, he sprints the floor. He got some good runouts, good buckets. He gave us great minutes tonight.
Yeah, and so was that expected kind of coming in tonight? Because I know you had him off the bench, but obviously you guys had this strategy against Borling, and you used him a lot there. So did that kind of evolve over it? Was that kind of something that was practiced and planned for over the weekend?
Yeah, we had planned for it, but a couple of kids, I mean, they love to play that way. They feed off that defensive energy, and he's one of those guys. I mean, he really gets us going offensively. He was just huge tonight for us. Yeah,
very good game. And we talked to a couple of guys that were really big for you. Of course, we talked to Nate Driga. But who kind of stood out in your mind is like when the kind of going got tough and things were a little – in the beginning of the third quarter, the offense was a little sketchy coming out of out of halftime. Who kind of you give credit to getting things back on track there and getting the game to be where it ended up being a 13-point victory?
Chris knocked a couple big shots down for us there in third quarter, and Max Stinson, he was huge for us tonight. This was his best game he's played. We've been preaching to him and everybody, really. We got to be aggressive, attack the hoop, and he did that early, and it really got us rolling.
Yeah, Max Stinson really played a very steady game through. It seemed like he gave you all the minutes all the way across the way. And injury-wise, there was no issue when it had to come off. There was a little blood on the –
Yeah, just blood on jersey. Wasn't from
jersey.
Jimmy.
Yeah, from that aggressiveness that you had out there for the rest of the night that you talked about before the game as well.
So I know in previous games you guys had a bit more turnovers than you wanted, even in wins. What would you say was the strategy tonight to limiting that while still being aggressive in transition and fast breaks?
We've been preaching, value the basketball. Every possession is the most important possession. Get good shots. When we're taking good looks and moving without the ball, we tend to don't turn it over. But, once we get stagnant, stand around too much, and kind of go at the pace the defense wants us to, that's when we get careless with the ball. But we played at our pace tonight. We got a lot of good looks and didn't turn the ball over.
Yeah, and that pace was so impressive, especially when somebody like Nathan Borling gets to the ball so quickly. I know you guys faced Sean Whitehouse. Did you take anything from that game when he had a very strong performance into tonight's game and how to defend differently?
Yeah, we didn't play well against Wellington, and defensive pressure and defensive energy was non-existent against Wellington. And we challenged the kids, we've got to play better than that. We got to bring it on defensive end because good defense will lead to offense. That's exactly what happened tonight.
Most definitely.
Well, 3 wins this early in the conference season is a great place to be, a very different place than you guys were last December. So things are looking the future's bright here for Firelands Falcons basketball.
Yeah, that was a huge one for us rolling into this Christmas break now.
We wish you the best and look to have you guys back on WOBL or here on the Lorraine County Sports Network in the near future. Firelands head coach Colin Myers, the winning coach tonight, taking away a win for the Firelands Falcons over Columbia. Final score again, 66-53. Get things wrapped up for you here and appreciate your time, Coach, and look forward to meeting you down the road the next time as we're out here. So let's get over to the stats here and get you out of here, out of the Firelands gym so everyone can go home tonight. Max Drummond, you have some of the highlights of the stats that came out there, which, of course, our stats are brought to you every week by our friends Alan Januzzi CPA because it's all about the numbers. What numbers stuck out to you tonight, Max?
Well, I definitely say it was the great shot selection from Firelands. They were very efficient. From their three-pointers, they went 5 of 15. They hit 3 in the first half, 2 in the second half, so they were very balanced that way. Also caused 13 turnovers of Columbia. So, and on top of that, even when they weren't getting the downright turnover, the amount of pressure they were applying was definitely affecting those Columbia possessions as the game went on. And I just talked to Coach about it. They held themselves to only 10 turnovers, which was a huge improvement, especially based off of previous games that we had. And they even more so were able to get to the line a bit, as our player of the game, actually, Nate Draga, he mentioned he got to the line. He liked how many times that happened, and he hit all but one of them.
Yeah, great night for Draga. Let's run down all the scores, actually, so we make sure we get you those numbers as well. Start with the Columbia Raiders, who had quarters of 10, only 6, but then 21 and 16, but had dug themselves pretty big hole there in the second quarter. Total of 53 points. Ethan Meyer had a couple of 2-pointers and a 3-pointer, and finishes with 7. Carter Dooley played a very aggressive game tonight. Ends up with 12 points, 4 from 2-point range, had a 3-pointer, and got to the foul line 1 out of 2 times. Also 1 out of 2 at the line was Gage Maruna. He combined that with a couple of 2-pointers and a 3-pointer, 8 total points for Maruna. Logan Mengi did a lot of ball handling today, the freshman getting a little bit more responsibility and time on the floor for the Columbia Raiders. He makes 4 field goals for 8 points. Dylan Fisher went down with an injury at the end of the first quarter, but did return, finishes with 2 points. And, of course, the leading scorer, who was held to only 2 points in the first half, but came alive in the second half, Nate Borling has 4 2-pointers, a couple of 3-pointers, and made both of his free throws. He ends up finishing with 16 points for the Columbia Raiders, a little bit below his season average, but certainly after only 2 points in the first half, he made those adjustments and found a way to try to get his team in the game, and Columbia did get it down to as little as 8 points in the second half before Firelands put things away with a 13-point victory. And for those Firelands Falcons, they start out with an 18-point first quarter, 16 in the second quarter, then 17 in the third quarter, and 15 in the fourth quarter. Very steady scoring output all evening long for the Firelands Falcons. They finished with 66 points. Chris Radman, who I was pointed out was a nice bit of information out there. His father is the fire chief in the city of Lorain, so appreciate all the hard work his family does, and he put in the hard work today. Outpointed his season average, ended up with 3 from 2-point range, a couple of 3-pointers, and 12 points total. Trace Karolak, we mentioned him. He had a great defensive night, made his own 2-pointers, or 2 2-pointers, finishes with 4 points. Rylan Copen added a couple of points. Nico Gotsis battling underneath all evening long, 5 2-pointers. He finishes with 10. Nick Dunphy had a couple of 2-pointers and finishes with 14 points. Jim Onspaw fighting down below all game long. He gets 4 points off of field goals and made 1 out of 2 free throws for a total of 5 points. Leading scorer for tonight, Max Stinson, the 5'10 junior guard. Great night all around. He ends up with 5 2-pointers, hit his 3-pointer, and 3 out of 3 from the free throw line. Free throw shooting for Firelands was fantastic tonight, as Stinson finishes the leading scorer with 16 points. And again, our Hoop Tech player of the game, number 33, the 6'2 senior forward, Nate Draga, finishes with a couple of 2-pointers, a couple of 3-pointers, and 5 of 6 from the line. Gives him 15 points on the night and a total of 66 for the Firelands Falcons, who came into the night averaging just over 55 points a game. So they got their offense going when they needed it. And as we mentioned, they've got a kind of a busy week coming up. They're off for the rest of this week, but we'll play twice during the Christmas break, once at Vermilion, another time at Cloverleaf. And then they'll resume Lorain County League play on the 5th of January, which is a Friday, as they'll be home here against Black River. Meanwhile, for the Columbia Raiders, they'll have another game this week. They're done for the Christmas break. They'll have one game over break. On the 29th, they'll be at Midview and then get back into Lorain County League play on the first Friday of the new year, as they'll be at Keystone. How's that? 4 games in a row on the road for Columbia. That can't make it any easier when you're trying to get your offense going and moving things along. But we'll keep an eye on it for sure. Don't forget, we'll be back here on the YouTube Lorain County Sports Network broadcast. Will be in the new year, January 2nd, 2024. We'll be live from Vermilion High School, as they'll be hosting the Black River Pirates. So we invite you to be a part of that as well. Appreciate everyone who made things happen tonight here. As a lot of effort from AD Ty Stillman. Appreciate everything he does to get us set up, and we're going to be seeing his brother the next time, as we'll be with Andrew Stillman over in Vermilion in a couple of weeks. for our next broadcast. So Stillman Brothers taking care of us on this part of the season. We appreciate that. Edwin Vereen behind all the controls, the setup, the director, producer extraordinaire. Appreciate all the work you do. And Michael Allison on the camera. And all the video you get is coming from Michael. So all the hard work, we appreciate what they do. And, again, make sure you listen in as we'll have the continuing Stewart's TV and Appliance Game of the Week, as the girls' Game of the Week will be tomorrow from Avon Lake. That'll be on WDLW. On Friday, WOBL will be at Brookside, and WDLW will be at Lorraine High School. So all those games, appreciate all of our sponsors, with the headliner being the Stewart's Appliance. Other sponsors we want to mention here, including Ernie's Auto Body, the top auto body shop in Avon. Nick Abraham Buick GMC, shop by Abraham.com. Lorain County Visitors Bureau, we can't wait to see you. And before we sign off tonight, Max, we continue with that Mr. Basketball Watch, which is brought to you by WOBL and WDLW Sports. Our Mr. Basketball Watch each week, of course, Nate Draga's a senior. We're going to include him in the conversation. Nate Borling from Columbia is going to be a part of any conversation with the Mr. Basketball Watch. But anybody else tonight here, especially that was playing on this court, that stood out to you that should be in that conversation?
Those two names you alluded to stood out a lot, very obvious, but also Nico Gatzis, he does a lot of great things for them scoring and in their transition game when getting their offense going. So him a senior as well, definitely somebody to keep an eye on.
The Mr. Basketball Watch brought to you by Nick Abraham, Elyria Ford. Shop ElyriaFord.com. Appreciate them. And like I said, all the sponsors who help make all this happen, expanding our coverage of Lorain County sports this year here with the Lorain County Sports Network, a production of the WOBL and WDLW Sports Department. Once again, our final score here from Firelands tonight, the Falcons victorious as they move to 3-1 in the conference and 4-2 on the season already. Dropped the Columbia Raiders by a final score of 66-53. Appreciate everyone being a part of our broadcast tonight. Couldn't do it without you watching along on your YouTube channel. Until we meet again in the new year, have a great night, everybody.